It is a little after breakfast, and you have wiped the table and cleared a space, and you have the cards out, the ones with the letters, or the numbers, or the small bright animals, because someone told you that by now, at this age, your child really ought to be starting. And your little one sits for a moment, looks at the first card the way they look at anything with their whole face, and then slides, boneless the way small children do, right off the chair and down onto the floor, and crawls away to the low cupboard and pulls out a pot and a wooden spoon and begins, very seriously, to bang. And you sit there with the card still in your hand, and a small cold worry opens in your chest. They will not sit still. They will not look. Somewhere, another child their age is already learning their letters, sitting nicely, and mine wants to bang a spoon on a pot. Am I already behind? Have I, somehow without meaning to, already done this wrong? Put the cards down. Just for a little while. And let me sit with you. My name is Naomi Takahashi. I am 63 years old, and I have had my hands on children for more than 40 of those years. I raised 3 of my own in a small house with very little money, and now I help raise 5 grandchildren. And I will tell you something, right at the start, that I want you to hold on to tonight. In all those years, I never once sat a child under 5 down at a table to teach them a letter. Not once, and not a single one of them was behind. They could all sit and think and learn when the time for learning came. And they arrived at it steadier, I think, not slower, because of the very thing you are worried about right now, the banging, the mess, the play. So here is what I would like to do. I want to show you how a small mind is really built in these first few years, not with cards, not with an app, not with a class you drive to on a Saturday, with the body, with play, and with sleep. 3 things. That is nearly all of it, and almost none of it costs a thing. I will show you exactly what to do, and just as important, what to stop doing. Because with very small children, the stopping is often the harder part. I will tell you honestly what it does and what it does not do, because I am not here to sell you a miracle. And near the end, I will tell you the one thing I most want you to hear. The reason this simple, ordinary truth became so hard for good parents to believe. I will save that for last. Stay with me to it. And before I go any further, you have not done anything wrong. A worried parent who has been made to feel behind is not a bad parent. You are here, tonight, trying. That is the whole of it. That is enough. Now, let me give you the thing that changes everything, the thing you have to understand before any of the rest of it makes sense. We have it backwards. We think a small child's mind is built the way we build our own, by being told things, by being taught, by sitting still and taking in. And so when our little one will not sit, will not attend to the card, we feel the clock ticking. But that is not how it works. Not yet, not in these years. In the first 5 years, a child does not learn the world by being told about it. They learn it through the body, through the hands, through picking a thing up and dropping it and picking it up again 40 times to find out. Will it fall the same way every time? Through wet and dry, heavy and light, full and empty, rough and smooth. The child banging that spoon on that pot is not failing to learn. They are learning. About sound, about cause and effect. I move my arm, the noise happens. I am the one who makes it. About their own 2 hands. That banging is not the thing keeping them from the work. In these years, that banging is the work. We have a small word for it, asobi. It only means play. But for a young child, play is not the little rest between the important things. Play is the important thing. It is how the mind gets built. And here is the part that should take a great weight off your chest. You cannot teach a child a foundation. You can only give them the room and the things and the time to build it themselves. Your job is not to instruct. Your job is to protect the conditions, and then, gently, to get out of the way. So let me show you how. This is the heart of it, so I will go slowly. It begins with the simplest thing in the world. You give your child the real world in their hands, not a toy that lights up and sings and does the thinking for them. A bright plastic thing that presses the button and the child only watches. No, real things. Things that do nothing on their own, so that everything they do comes from the child. Water and a cup and an empty bowl. A basin on the floor on an old towel. Dry rice or dry beans poured from one pot to another for a child old enough not to put them in their mouth. Dough, mud out in the garden after the rain, sand, pots and pans and wooden spoons from your own kitchen, cloths to fold and unfold and fold wrong and fold again. The little jobs of the house, which to you are dull and to a 2-year-old are a whole world. Now, what does this cost you? I will be honest because it does cost something, only not money. It costs a little mess, and it costs patience, and it costs the hardest thing of all, which is biting your tongue. Because the moment you set the water and the cups in front of your child, everything in you is going to want to teach. To say, look, this cup is bigger. Can you say big? How many cups do we have? Let us count. 1, 2. No, sweetheart, like this. Watch Mummy do it. And I want you to feel that urge rise up, and then let it go. Because this is the one thing most parents miss, and it is the whole game. So hear me. The moment you turn the play into a lesson, you take the work away from the child. The moment you quiz them, what color, how many, what is this called? You have stopped their thinking and started performing your own. The moment you take the cup out of their hand to show them the right way to pour, you have taught them one small thing and stolen the large one, the discovery. Let it be aimless. Let it be repetitive. Let them pour the water out and back, out and back, out and back for 20 minutes in a way that to you is unbearably boring. Because that boredom, that long, slow, pointless-looking repetition, is a small mind doing serious work. Do not narrate it into a schooling. Do not correct the wrong way. Sit near. Be with them. Be warm. Answer them when they turn to you. And otherwise, let them lead. That is the skill. It asks far more of you than of the child. Let me tell you why it works. In plain words, without any of the clever science talk that makes a tired parent feel stupid. A small child understands the world from the ground up, from the concrete, the thing they can hold, before the abstract, the thing that only lives in the head. A number is an idea. A letter is an idea. But heavy is a full bowl in 2 small hands. Empty is that same bowl, light again. More is the water rising to the top of the cup, and gone is the last of it running out. The child who has poured water 1,000 times has felt more and less in their own arms long before they will ever count. And you cannot build the roof before you have built the walls. All that hands-on doing, the wet, the weight, the pouring, the pressing, that is the walls. The letters and the numbers, the school things, those come later, and they sit steadier on a child who spent these years with their hands full than on a child who was rushed up onto the roof while the walls were still soft. And when the hands are busy with something real, the whole child is working at once. The eyes, the fingers, the balance, the small mind solving its small problem of how to get the water from here to there without spilling. It is not one narrow lesson. It is everything, together, which is how young children are built to learn. I want to tell you about my grandmother now, because she knew this, though she had never read a word about any of it. When I was very small, in Kanazawa, our kitchen had an old earthen floor, cool under your feet even in summer, and my grandmother would be there for what seemed like hours, cooking, her back to me. And she would set me down in the corner with a wooden bowl and a cup and a little water, and I would pour and pour and pour. And in the wet season, after the rain, she would let me out into the small garden where the earth went dark and soft, and I would make balls of mud. This is a real thing, that children have always done there. You take the wet earth and you pack it, and you roll it, and you rub it. Patient. For a long time. Until, if you are careful, it goes smooth and then almost shining. A little dark, shining ball held in your two dirty hands. Doro Dango, we call it. And I would bring these to my grandmother, filthy to the elbow, and she never once said, "Naomi, you are dirty, stop." She never said, "Here, do it properly, do it this way." She would look and she would say, "Ah, Kire, how lovely," and let me go back to it. It was only many, many years later, watching my own daughter with her hands in a bowl of flour, that I understood what my grandmother had understood all along, without a single word for it, that the child, dirty and silent and absorbed, was not idling. She was working, and the kindest, wisest thing a grown-up could do was to keep the tea warm and stay near and let her. So, how do you do this as your child grows? With a baby, it is the simplest of all, and here you must go carefully for safety. Everything, one at a time, everything watched, nothing small enough to choke on, nothing they cannot safely mouth, because a baby learns the world with their mouth as much as their hands. A cool, clean spoon to hold, a soft cloth, your own clean fingers to grab. Water only with you right there, your hands and eyes on them the whole time. For the toddler, it opens up, the pouring, the dough, the mud, the sand, the pots. And for the older child, 3, 4, 5. Let them into the real jobs, because there is nothing a small child loves more than doing the true work of the house. Washing the vegetables, tearing the lettuce, stirring the cold bowl, carrying their own small dish to the table. It is slower for you. It is messier for you. It is worth it. And if you have more than one, let the older one lead the way. But give the little one their own bowl, their own cup, their own handful of dough, so they are not only watching a big sibling, but working themselves. Now let me answer the worries I can hear you having, because I have heard them all. But the mess. Yes, a small tray. One corner of one room, an old towel underneath, a basin, a cloth to wipe. It is not the whole house, and it all washes. The mess is not the price of a bad afternoon, it is the sound of a good one. But we live in a small flat. There is no room. A basin of water on a towel needs no room at all. A ball of dough at the kitchen table needs no room. This was never about space or a special playroom or the right equipment. My whole childhood of this fit in one corner of one small kitchen. But I work, I do not have an hour for water play. Then hear me carefully, because this is the part that saves the working parent. This is not extra time you have to find. It is not one more thing on the list, one more enrichment class to feel guilty about missing. It is letting your child help with the thing you are already doing. You are washing the rice. Let them put their hands in. You are folding the washing. Give them the small cloths. You are peeling the vegetables. Hand them one to hold and rub under the water. 5 real minutes their hands in the ordinary work of the day is worth more than an hour of a glowing toy. You do not have to build them a childhood. You only have to let them into yours. And the big one. But shouldn't I be teaching letters and numbers so they are ready for school, so they are not behind? This is the fear the whole world seems built to press on you, so let me be very plain and very gentle. The Head Start you are being sold is mostly smoke. A child drilled on letters at 2 does not, in the end, stay ahead. Very often the early lead washes out entirely within a few years, and what can last is something sadder. A small person who learned too soon that learning is a chair and a test, and a grown-up's disappointment instead of a joy. The child who was allowed to play does not fall behind. Very often they walk into school steadier and readier and hungrier to learn. because their mind was built properly from the bottom, and because no one taught them to dread it. You are not choosing between play and a bright future. Play is how you build the bright future. They are the same road. There is one more thing that does as much for a young mind as all of this play. And it happens when the play is over, in the dark, when it looks as though nothing at all is happening. Sleep. We treat a child's sleep as the soft, movable thing in the day, the thing we push back for the visitors, for the outing, for the little more time we want with them. And I understand it. I do. But of all the ordinary things, this is the one I would guard the most fiercely. Because sleep, for a small child, is not just rest. It is when the day gets sorted. All that pouring, all that mud, all those 1,000 small discoveries the hands made today. It is in sleep, in the dark, quietly, that the young brain takes the day and files it and keeps it and makes it part of the child. A child who plays hard all day and does not sleep enough is like someone who gathers a great armful of treasures and then never puts any of them away. The gathering is only half of it, and small children need a great deal of sleep, far more than we do, and honestly, more than most of us give them. The exact number of hours changes with their age, and I will not throw a figure at you because your child's doctor can tell you the right range for their years far better than I can, and children do differ. But you will know it more simply than any number. A child who has had enough sleep can meet the day and play and manage their feelings, more or less. A child who is short on it comes apart at the smallest thing, cannot settle to anything, cannot hold their attention on the very play that builds them. So guard the hour, keep it early and keep it close to the same time, and let the visitors and the outings bend around it rather than the other way. That steadiness, the boring sameness of an early protected bedtime, does more quiet good than any clever thing you could buy. And I must say, the safety part here plainly, warmly, because it matters more than any of the rest. If your baby is very young, the sleep must be a safe sleep, and the guidance on this is clear, and I will not soften it. A baby sleeps best on their back, on their own firm, flat surface, their own cot or firm little futon in your room, but not in your bed, with nothing soft in with them. No pillows, no loose bedding, no bumpers, no toys. For at least the first months. Closeness, yes. Same room, yes. But a baby's own safe surface, always. And if your child's sleep, or their eating, or their speech, or the way they are growing ever truly worries you, not a passing thought at midnight, but a real, settled worry, then please, that is the moment to ring your doctor and not the internet. That is not failing. That is exactly what a good parent does. Now let me tell you honestly what all of this does and what it does not, because trust is the only thing I have to give you, and I will not spend it on a lie. This will not make your child a genius. I want to say that clearly because the whole market around you whispers the opposite. Play and sleep in your presence build a healthy, sturdy foundation. They do not hand out extraordinary gifts on order, and anyone who promises you that is reaching for your purse. Every child is different, too. Some little ones fall in love with letters all on their own at 3 and want the cards, and that is wonderful. Follow them. That is play, too. Some are slower and dreamier, and that is not a fault to be fixed. None of this is a race, and none of it is a treatment for anything. It is simply the ordinary, patient way a small human being grows when we let them. It takes years, not weeks. There is no morning where it is suddenly finished. And on any real question, a child who is not speaking, not hearing, not meeting the things you truly expected, the loving thing is not more mud and less worry. It is a doctor. Please hear both halves of what I am telling you. Relax about the letters and never ignore a real concern. Now, the thing I promise to save for the end. If a pot and a spoon and a bowl of water and some mud in the garden and an early bedtime are so much of what a small child needs, and they are, then why does it feel so hard to believe? Why is there a cold little voice telling you it cannot be enough, that you must be missing something, that everyone else has the special thing and you do not? I will tell you why. Because there is a great deal of money in that cold little voice, and none at all in the calm. There is an entire market now built on the worry of good parents, the flashcards, the baby classes, the glowing apps that promise a smarter child, the worksheets, the school readiness, that a 2-year-old is somehow already failing, the endless charts and lists that make ordinary childhood look like a test you are losing. And I do not think most of the people selling these things are wicked, but the whole machine runs on one feeling, and it needs you to keep feeling it, that you and your patients and your ordinary home are not enough, that your child's mind is a race, and you are behind, and only something you can buy will catch you up. There is no subscription in telling a mother that her kitchen floor and her attention already hold nearly everything her child needs. It does not sell. So it went quiet, and a confidence that every grandmother once had was slowly, quietly sold away. I would like to hand a little of it back to you tonight, not because I am clever or because I know a secret, because it was never a secret. It was just the ordinary way before someone found it more profitable to make you doubt it. So here is what I would ask of you this week. Only small things. Once this week, give your child something real for their hands. Water or dough, or the washing to fold, or a corner of the garden. And then do the hard part. Say nothing, teach nothing, correct nothing, and simply let them work. Guard the bedtime hour, one night at a time, and let the rest of the world bend around it. And the cards. Put them away just for now. They will keep. And then, if you would, tell me something in the comments. Tell me how old your little one is, and the one thing they love most to do with their hands right now. The pot, the water, the dirt, the drawer they empty 40 times a day. I read everyone, and there is nothing that makes me happier than hearing what a small child is busy with in a home I will never see. Next time, I want to answer the question sitting underneath all of this. The one you started with, at that table, with the child who would not sit. How is it that some small children can settle and stay and lose themselves in one thing for a long while? And how you can gently grow that in your own child with a quiet daily practice. You can begin as early as around 18 months. It is gentler and smaller than you would think. I will show you next time. Until then, be patient with your little one. The pot and the spoon and the pouring and the mud are not them wasting time. They are them building the very mind you are worried about in the only way a small child can. And be just as patient with yourself. You came here tonight afraid you were behind, and you are going to leave knowing that the floor you are standing on and the 2 hands your child is making a mess with were nearly all they needed from the start. You are doing so much better than they would ever have you believe.